Hello everyone, you are watching the SDGs Lead youth-to-youth conversation on climate action. Today I am as a founder of a partnership for advancing innovative sustainability from Ukraine. I have the privilege and honor to talk with wonderful climate activists from Norway, Nigeria, Bangladesh. Today we will discuss particular practices and experiences in order to discover most working youth-offered solutions that could be implemented. Our conversation is being recorded, then it will be posted on our PAIS Facebook page as well as the YouTube channel. So I hope it will be useful for other young leaders from other countries to hear our exchange of ideas, and I hope that some practices would be implemented as well. Thank you so much for joining. So to begin with, let us kick off our conversation with a slightly general perspective. Because it's important that we all unite and how we perceive the terms such as sustainability, innovative sustainability. So my first question to all the participants, how do you perceive innovative sustainability, and what does it mean for you personally? Who wants to start? Sure, Lisa, please.
Thank you. So I thought about it a little bit. I feel innovative sustainability to me in its pure form means creative ways to ensure that the innovation don't interfere in a negative way with the environment. I also think that the ways people have found to secure environments from climate risk, for example, such as pollution or heavy rainfall, by using interesting and also quite ancient technologies such as green roofs and blue roofs, if you know what that is. For example, in Norway, green roofs can be found on traditional houses, which stems from over 100 years ago. And it really shows how innovative sustainability does not necessarily mean something hyper-technological, but can also mean something as simple and natural as that.
It's very interesting. Thank you for highlighting the example from Norway, how we can presume on the one hand the natural heritage, and on the other hand we just think a bit differently, like changing mindset to balance these relationships. Imran, what is your vision, whether there are some linkages between your vision and what Lisa have just said?
Thank you, Karina. I'm really honored to be here with you, Lisa and Daniel also. And I'm from Bangladesh, as you know. Actually, what about sustainable? Actually, it's an idea, as you know, that sustainable development goal is a new idea, which started from 2015. Actually, all United Nations countries are actually agreed for their sustainable development. Actually, if I want to say about sustainable development and innovative sustainable development, so it's the idea of that we meet our human our needs and our foods or other things without hampering environment, without hampering our future generation. And as you know, in Bangladesh, we are trying to cope our sustainable development in our agriculture field, in our energy sectors, in our, all part of our daily and national life, actually. Here, our farmers are trying to save energy to product crops in their field. And in here we are trying to use solar energy for irrigation. And when you innovative any idea which is sustainable, which is that is actually sustainable ideas, I think.
Great as well. Thank you so much for mentioning solar energy and how we can transform agriculture through using this innovation and empower farmers. As I know, with such new strategies, more farmers can benefit from these new technologies. Of course, if they get enough support and special programs. Daniel, do you also see some correlations, how it's in your country, Nigeria?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. My name is Daniel and I'm from Nigeria. I like to work with young people, and my contribution, I like to share my thoughts on innovative sustainability. In my opinion, innovative sustainability has to do with using advanced technology or new ideas in order to sustain the environment for the betterment of humanity. So for instance, in Nigeria, we have a lot of young people using recycling plastics, use plastics to build houses, for instance. Some people use plastic to make jersey, that's a sports jersey. Some people use plastics, to make pads. And so in my opinion, that's innovative sustainability. It, of course, has to do with helping to sustain the environment through ideas, new ideas, and through the use of technology. Thank you.
Also amazing, and it's so inspiring to hear these voices from different countries, how it is perceived not only by yourself but also in terms of practical solutions from your country. It's it's highly valuable. So to begin with, to dive into your particular experiences, which are great and just amazing and inspiring for all other young people. I now give the floor to Imran, founder and coordinator of Environmental Defense Network, climate activist from Bangladesh. Now the floor is yours to share your projects, your probably future plans, and overall your contribution into environmental protection and sustainability.
Thank you again, Alicia. Thank you very much to give me the floor, Karina. Let me say something about my organization and my activities actually. And as you know, as I already told that I'm from Bangladesh and I have involvement with a couple of national and international organizations. And I'm the co-founder of Environment Defense Network, which was established in 2019 actually, with other some youth environmental activists and from other faculties also, from like physics, like other social science faculties, students are also involved with us actually. And in Bangladesh, as you know, it's a climate vulnerable country, and in here lots of severe climatic events like disaster in here, like cyclones, floods, and those type of. From my childhood, I just see this lots of severe disaster in here, and people are suffering for climate change, and that's why I thought that we need to do something for our countries, for our nature. And as it was from my childhood that I thought that I need to do something for our country, for our nature. And that's why actually I'm a student of environmental science also. I'm from Stanford University, Bangladesh, and my background is environmental science. Actually, it's because of my enthusiasm for environment, I admitted in university in this discipline actually. And when we are started Environment Defense Network in here Bangladesh, there's lots of youth people, enthusiastic people are also connected with us for do something about our nature. And already we have done lots of projects. Actually, our activity type actually, as I told you, that our activity type actually is networking and policy advocacy. And we also did some research activities also. And we Still today, we are already did lots of research activities and campaign activities, and the last more than 1 year, we are passing a severe COVID situation, it's COVID pandemic situation, and for this we have some trouble for our activities. But in terms of COVID, when COVID started, we have did several studies about for for COVID. We have already for COVID, we have produced lots of wastage, which is medical wastage. We wear masks, PPE, and this type of wastage are actually also hampered in environment and river body, water body, and this type of water body. And we have researched how these wastages are impact. How these wastages are impacting our water bodies. And in current time, we are in another current project, which is climate resilient and youth tribe and community program, which we are planning for do this actually. Because of COVID, we are not yet, it's not started, but we are planning to do this project. And our plan is divided into two parts. One is with research activities and another is campaign. This climate change awareness program we have in this project, and awareness will be all over the country, and with universities, several universities, and in different climatic zone in Bangladesh, specifically in Bangladesh. And other part is the climate vulnerability and resilient community program, which will be a research study and collaboration with community and people. And the grassroots level to our policymakers, we will conduct several studies like PRA, KIA, and FZD. We will did, and then after that we will collect that data, and we will go to policy advocacy with our policymakers. And our environment defense network always try to do with our approach is from the grassroots level to we will go to policymakers. I mean, our approach is bottom-up approach, and we always try to do this. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much. I wish you good luck with all your projects, and you've highlighted very important aspects. Speaking about the role, the highly meaningfulness of partnerships between universities, businesses, what is the role here of educational institutions? How such research centers can lead this change? Just to highlight and emphasize this vital role.
Thank you. Actually, in here, a university and education institute has a big role. That if our institutes can make our students for do something about their nature, or if they are aware about the care of nature, then it will be a big role that it will change our society. So our education institute has also a big role. And as you know, that there has lots of people who are enthusiastic. If our activities or our activism did do something to raise their voice against pollution, against climate change, then it will be fantastic ideas, I think. So in universities or education institute has a big role about this.
Definitely, it's great, and I think now it's very logical that Lisa Shossi from Norway would continue, as she is also a student in environmental studies, researcher, also student in comparative politics. She was the youth delegate to the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities of the Council of Europe, where we met, so it's a deep honor, Lisa, to have you here as well. Could you please also share your experience as well as probably elaborate a bit more on the role of partnership? As I know, in your city, in your country, partnership is also very much emphasized.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, like Al, I also grew up. I grew up in a very interesting city because it's a city that is situated between 7 mountains, and then it's like situated in between there. And environment and weather is very important to us here. So we grew up learning a lot about the environment, how the weather affects everything, and yeah, we're just very interested in weather here. So for me, I didn't get into environmental studies much later, before, I guess, when we were a part of the Council of Europe. That's where I got to know most of the information I got when it comes to how local authorities deal with climate change. And later, last year, I was lucky to be able to be a part of a subject at my university, which was called environmental studies. And this year, I was again lucky to be a part of a student research subject, which is also in environmental studies. And the subject is actually a subject that is formed by something called the Arcus Alliance, which is supported by the I'm not sure if it's the Council of Europe or the European Union that is supporting this, but one of those institutions. And it is a partnership between 17 universities across Europe, where they where its principal ambition is to design, test, and implement an innovative model for deep inter-university cooperation, enabling student, staff, and the society at large by bringing together students and researchers with diverse backgrounds from the partner university in order to enhance quality of teaching and learning and to strengthen our joint research capacity. So this year's theme was rethinking climate risk. So what I am doing at the moment is researching how the discrepancies between what the people in my town perceive as important climate risks that we should highlight in our policies versus what the government think that we should try and tackle by enabling their own policies. And this has often been local policies when it comes to climate change has always been a debate in my city, and it's very important. And it basically, you will see in my city, you will always come across climate and just the topic of climate and such within every single part of society. So it's a very important thing here at my university as well, which is the University of Bergen. It is a university that also prides itself on trying to implement the SDGs, the United Nations SDGs, in the research and in the studies and everything across every single faculty. So we haven't gotten that far with our studies, but I'm looking forward to continue. And it's very, and I think it's very, as you see, also partnership thing is very important here. My university is a part of countless partnerships that I'm not even sure what is. And a lot of them are to do with environmental studies and such. Thank you.
It's really amazing and very up to the point research because to develop good and efficient policies, we have to understand what different stakeholders think and how we perceive overall threats, as you mentioned, environmental threats. And you also highlighted on the role of local and regional authorities, as well as inter-universities partnerships, proving the fundamental fundamental value of such international cooperation based on different conditions. I know that Norway also has a high number of electric vehicles, and Oslo was selected as a green capital. Could you please elaborate a bit more on how you have managed to reach such great outcomes in terms of supporting the environment? Whether the initial push was from the government, or it was enrooted, as you mentioned, into mindsets of people supporting environment, thinking about the weather, environmental conditions.
Yes, thank you. It's very interesting because Norway is an oil country. We have the oil business, so it's kind of like two sides of the coin. On the one side, you have the harsh truth, which is the oil industry, which is basically, it's awful. And then on the other side, you have both the capital, Oslo, and even my city trying to seem, first of all, as this environmental fighter. And I think we have managed to get to this kind of perception by others because we have done this since, I think, the 1980s. Norway has been very into implementing such policies, but we have also been in a position of privilege to do so because of the oil. So it's a very two sides coin, and I think we are doing a lot of good, but at the same time, because of the oil industry, it doesn't always seem sincere, if you know what I mean. Thank you.
Thank you also for highlighting some paths of some aspects which is really coincides and very interesting to understand your initial situation and initial roots of this change. Now I give the floor to Daniel Akin, powerful youth advocate, climate activist from Nigeria. He was the founder of the TED initiative, which is a youth-led platform focused on climate actions and environmental sustainability, as well as a platform on empowering young people in order to acquire special skills, not the least in terms of youth participation in the governments and other very inspiring projects. Daniel, the floor is yours. Could you please highlight your experience as well, as probably there are also some linkages to emphasize with the experience of previous speakers. Please, the floor is yours. It's a deep honor.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me. Thank you to Imran and Lisa Shossi for sharing your thoughts on this topic. So for me, climate issue, my journey into climate change started in 2016, and was after I wrote an essay on climate action, and I got selected by Heinrich Böll Stiftung, which is a German sustainability foundation. And so the essence of the climate march was to march towards the government house in Abuja. So our government house in Nigeria is situated in Abuja. And so the essence of the climate march was to march to the government house to sensitize our leaders about the importance of creating policies for climate change. Of course, in Nigeria, quite a number of young people are not aware of climate change. And so that event, of course, opened my mind to realizing that we need to create awareness, we need to sensitize people, we need to let more people know what climate change is, even up to now. So that led me into creating TED Initiative, which basically is an online sensitization hub for issues around climate change, environmental sustainability, and community services. And so why did I create it and how do I run it? So TED Initiative started, as I said, in 2017. And to realize that young people, a lot of young people are always on social media, websites, they go into IG, Instagram, Facebook, some of them use LinkedIn and some other social media platforms that I cannot say at the moment. And so if they spend most of their time on social media to read news, to gist with friends, to chat, it would be ideal to also have them learn on social media. And so, which is why I created TAD Initiative, which basically shares climate-related articles, stories that they can relate with, and pictures. I am a graphic designer, I am a photographer. So I take pictures of climate-related issues. I write stories on climate. I have bloggers I have writers, from other countries who contribute to my blog. And so we tend to sensitize young people in Nigeria, most especially, about climate change, things they can relate with, and the effect of climate change. When I was much younger, I suffered from meningitis, which, according to my mom, happened because of it. And so in this part of the world, in Nigeria, we also have issues around flooding. We have issues around increase in sea levels, heat waves, and lack of productive materials from agriculture. Our women will plant and they are not yielding quality food. And so we happen to relate this to the effect of climate change. Of course, we have low rainfalls, and when rain do not fall, of course, you cannot maximize your output in agriculture. And so this led me to starting TAD Initiative. And since then, we have people coming to the blog about 100 per day. And in a month, we record about 3,000 visits. So in my opinion, I think we've been able to reach out to about 3,000 persons. And so when I check the statistics, I realized that not even only people from Africa join my platform. I have people from other African countries and even people from the US and Canada come into the platform, into my blog to read about the news. It's tadinitiative.blogspot.com. And so for about 4 years now, since 2017, we've impacted over 1,000 people directly and indirectly, sensitizing them about the importance of climate action, the effect of climate change, and why we need to act now. This is one of the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and we need to act now. In 2017, I happened to join the World Climate Simulation Training organized by a colleague of mine who runs an NGO in Unilag, one of the universities in Lagos, on a partnership, and I learned a lot about how people would sit at the United Nations to deliberate on countries that need to reduce the gas emission into the atmosphere. And so that was, for me, another opportunity to learn. And I was exposed to another youth gathering talking about climate change in Egypt. I happened to participate in the World Youth Program Forum in Egypt in 2019, and I joined the climate advocacy team, where a lot of young people came on board to give ideas. You talked about innovative sustainability, how young people can reduce things that are responsible for climate change. For instance, the use of plastic. So we do not need to use our plastic just once. We can renew them. We can recycle these plastics. And so we have young people in Nigeria build houses with plastics. We have people use solar power to power houses instead of using what people use and pollute the atmosphere. And so we have a lot of industries in Nigeria responsible for releasing gaseous gas emissions into the atmosphere. And this is harmful to our health. So as much as possible, it's my opinion and my belief that we need to sensitize people more, not just Nigerians, not just Africans, but more people need to be aware of the effects of climate change per our health. It affects young people. And coincidentally, I read about an article that says that climate change has a way of affecting people's health, maybe through reproduction. Heat waves, of course, affect the man's reproductive organ, if you're aware or if you don't know. And so this has a lot of effect, not just health-wise, but society-wise. People are less productive when these things come. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I will continue to use my platform to preach about climate change and action. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything what you do, because in fact education and awareness is highly meaningful, and in all your stories we can notice this component of raising awareness and driving this change. Daniel, when you started doing this job, how you feel internally the perceptions of these issues has been changing, how other people will influence, and probably these connections was built. So you started with one blog and then it disseminated to others. So here, what is the role of internal motivation to affect and influence others in terms of raising awareness?
Oh, thank you again. And to add to that point, I realized that I didn't talk about the on-site engagement we do. Of course, so we go into universities to do campus cleanup. So this, in a way, we go around the campus, we pick plastics, we pick waste, and we properly distribute them into recycling processes. And we also do ocean cleanups. And so I know a lot of countries do this as well. We go into oceans in our country and we pick waste from the seas, because in a way it affects the fishes in the sea as well. And so we might not have fish to eat if they continue to eat plastic waste. And so, in a way, in my opinion, I think that this impacts on citizens. Seeing you pick waste, of course, tells them that, look, you need to be environmentally responsible. You don't need to drop waste around because it is harmful to our health, it is harmful to the economy, it's harmful to the society. So it's indirectly or maybe directly tells on the behavior of people. So when they see you pick waste, of course, they don't want to throw waste anymore. When they see you talk about climate change, they want to change their perception. They want to change their perception. So before now, people do not believe anything happens about climate change. People do not believe climate change is real. And so, but in the last couple of years, I mean, I read an article which also says that the last 3 years has been the hottest in history. So it means that more people need to get aware. Otherwise, the next couple of years will be even hotter than the last 3 years. So more people need to get aware of climate change, and we need to directly and indirectly take responsibility for our environment. Thank you again.
Thank you so much once again. So here is also the aspect of responsibility. When you feel yourself responsible for the community, for the planet in general, and if every person feels the same responsibility, we probably wouldn't have even faced this term like climate change, negative consequences of human activities. For many young leaders, there are some barriers existing. They, according to the researchers, vary from country to country, whether they're institutional or it's about some kind of lack of support and many other things, stereotypes, not the least. Could you please highlight if there are some barriers that you faced, and here what could be the possible way out from this situation? What should other stakeholders do, and how young people could strive against all the odds and reach this sustainability together? Imran, would you like to start?
Thank you, Karina. Actually, here has different type of, this complex situation in here. Like from the global north and global south, it's a totally different scenario. As I'm from global south, like Bangladesh is a developing country, and as you know, there's our the policymakers or senior citizens. They think they have enough ideas there, and they can do anything without support of youth community. Actually, here has lots of awareness gaps, and here have some communications gaps or generation gaps. Sometimes young they don't bother young people. They think they are very young. They have little capacity to do something. But I think now in this time, this scenario has changed because of different activities. As you know, the Kurita already did tremendous activities, and all over the globe, different youth organizations, even United Nations are also emphasized to youth community to do something. And in here, the awareness is rising. As you know, that we have to understand this world is the home of 2.5 billions of young community. If you ignore this vast community, it will a disaster. Our senior citizen have to realize this is a big number, and our young community has that much of enthusiasm and passion to do something. And I think if it's a mindset, if they can change their mindset, and I think it will be fantastic. If I feel in here, when the policymaker did their policy, they never try to engage young community to this process. But as I have that, I always try to do something to keep some ideas or do something for our policies, or maybe pro-people policies. But in here, policymakers are not that much of here has different type of gaps, and we have that not that much of access in policy levels or community levels, and I think it's a problem, and we need to overcome this. We have to omit these gaps between policymakers and youth community. Thank you.
Actually, it's very important for senior citizens to recognize that here in youth, it's not only privilege, it's no longer privilege, but rather the fundamental right that should be ensured for all the young people as their right to take part in the governments of their country and to shape this decision. So here, overcoming this barrier can be happening through our personal contribution, and the more we allow, there are more chances that young people will be heard. Lisa, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, basically there is a totally different situation here. Luckily, the politicians do open up for youth organizations to speak their minds. But the thing is that, especially the national government, often do not listen to youth and rather go with what they like, the old people that basically have like most people that are older than, let's say, than 15, they have an opportunity to influence politics. But the politicians, they look at, of course, if even though everyone is saying, every youth in the city is saying, you can't go and just get oil everywhere because you will ruin the oceans. They won't listen to us because money and the different companies that are lobbying in order to, get the oil, they will rather listen to them than to the youth. But lately, it has been more focus on environments, and activist groups are doing the most that they can, doing the absolute most. Going before the corona, people went every Friday to demonstrate against, what is called, going trying to find oil in the oceans, because we have enough oil, we have enough money. You don't need more. We need to find sustainable things to do to get money from, instead of just going after oil. And people before corona, people were doing very good. Very young people were, like, elementary school students were even going and joining the protests and everything, and doing the most in order to be, like, against the government's decisions, anti-environmental decisions. And basically, we have a lot of NGOs that are doing a very good job. But I talked to one NGO yesterday, and she was like, yeah, we get invited to stuff, but we are very afraid of saying anything because it feels like we don't have enough knowledge about this just to be able to say anything. Like in my own experience, I mean, at the Council of Europe, I didn't really have much knowledge about what was going on, but I took my experience and tried to apply it whenever I could. And I think here in my city, they should try and be more confident in just spreading what they already have and what they already know, instead of being afraid of what the grown-ups will say against them. Because all of our NGOs here that are for youth NGOs here for climate that are focusing on climate change and stuff, they're doing a very great job. They're doing better than the national government. They're doing better than most, and they have even been able to speak in the United Nations and such. So I think that obviously the government should listen more to the youth. Like, it seems so it's a thing that should happen everywhere in the world. And yeah, that's what's going on here. Thank you.
Actually, I'm just reminded of the phrase said by someone that the evil in this world happens because good people are just silent. And fear is the key. I would say silencing barrier which negatively impacts youth activism. So it's very important to be confident because no one knows 1000% of the subject. Always it's a process of constant learning, so not to be afraid of starting and doing like this a newcomer effect when you're new to some field and you feel that you don't know nothing, but still continue doing and learning regardless all the odds. It's very, very important. Daniel, what is your vision and thoughts related to this?
Yeah, thank you again. So in my opinion, I think it's a conflict of school of thoughts. So a particular group of people believes that climate change exists. Another school of thought believes that it doesn't exist. And so this is even obvious in the way some countries are refusing to sign the climate change laws or treaties or conventions. And so we can see that people have different opinions about what climate change is. And so in Nigeria, for instance, it's a conflict between, or let me put it as a divide between I wrote it down, it's a cultural belief and the Western belief. Okay, so I would elaborate a little on cultural beliefs. So it is believed that if there's no rainfall, it might be as a result of God being angry on people, on us. Or maybe the God has decided to punish us, and so that's why there's no rain. So they do not believe it has anything to do with climate change. That's from the cultural aspect of it. And so the Western world believe that, look, all these happenings are human related, are human caused. They're not just natural. And so for me, that's the divide. And so we need to find a platform to link these things together to say, look, this is the reality. We have effect of climate change, and it's obvious in what we see. People are dying, there's flooding, there is high sea level, and there's heat, and in other countries. And so for me, it's a divide. And secondly, I also wrote down, we need to create policies. Let me read out what I wrote. We need to create policies. Government need to create policies that increases taxes on the use of plastic bags. So I know in some countries already, there's a ban, or there are high taxes on companies, that industries or manufacturing industries rather, that produce plastic bags. And so it's even restricted. So for you to use a plastic bag, you rather go for a paper bag, which is even more, you can reuse it, you can use it for other things, which is what I feel other countries should do. So we should have government creating policies that increases taxes on the production of plastic and probably encourages the reuse of plastics. I know I read something about a country also that pays you for the amount of plastic you submit to them. So for instance, you're able to collect plastics in the street community, you take it to a bank, you give them in exchange for money. So we need to probably create policies around this, first encouraging submission or reuse of plastics, and putting a ban on production of plastics. Thank you.
Actually, it's very relevant when related to the law in my country, in Ukraine. I found some statistics of how much plastics is produced and then it's just thrown away in terms of plastic bags, not only in my country, in many other countries of the globe. Is just shocking. And on the other hand, the bags from clothing or from the paper are much even convenient, and they can be even more stylish, and it's also economy of money when people are not buying each time but buy several bags for much longer times and many kind of usage then. So it's very meaningful. Speaking about kind of imaginary concept, imagine that we as a country leaders and decision making. So what are the focal points in unleashing the youth environmental leadership? What should you do, and probably some key steps, focal steps in this connection? Imran, please.
Well, it's a great imagination that I'm becoming policymakers. Anyway, okay, let me say something about this. Actually, as my perception and my country is a climate vulnerable country, and when I become a policymaker, actually I have no ways to do this. Actually, I mean I have no interest in politics right now. But yeah, we have policymakers. When I will, then I will think about this. We need to a national adaptation plan, which will be from the grassroots level. It should be from the from uh, it should be from grassroots to bottom-up approach. It should be, and I will try to make a, and also I will try to make NDC, National Determined Contribution, which I will relate to this our development. As you know, this is as for developing country Bangladesh here, lots of construction mega projects are ongoing here, and here in here lots of air pollution for this project. And if I will be a policymaker, then I will uh, take decision to stop pollution, especially air pollution and water pollution. And I will be take decision to stop one-use plastics. This plastic should be reused, or we should be stop plastic that which is single use. So I should be I will plan for stop single use plastic, and I will plan for tree plantation all over the country, like it's maybe minimum 20 crore in a year. I will make a big plan for these actually. And I think our energy plan should be revised. We should go for our sustainable energy like solar, like wind, like hydro. So I think I will make decision for our solar energy, as Bangladesh has scope for solar energy. Though we have not that much of land, but as you know, we are very near to the tropical zone, and we have lots of light, solar, sunlight actually. So we have scope for solar energy, and I will make plan to go. I hope my plan will be within 2030 we will be go 100% solar energy, 100% renewable energy actually. So actually this is actually a dream. Here have lots of conditions. We need lots of supports, which our have lots of gaps for financial or technological. We need that kind of support. I think here we have gaps, so we have to go research for this, omit this type of gaps. So that's my dream. Thank you.
It's really great dream. Hope it will come true. So such a policy changing mechanisms would be implemented, and it would not be just a dream, but a reality. Lisa, what would you do, and your recommendation to the decision makers of today as well?
Well, I'm actually very grateful that my city, we have a green strategy plan where 100% solar panel or like sustainable renewable energy is actually on the plan, and they're trying hard to do it. So hopefully that will actually be like a reality here in a couple of years, and I really hope so. But with politics, you never know, right? But I'm glad that they are at least trying. On a national level, I wish that they would try harder to do these things. I wish that we would try and go like make the industry as green as possible, like as fast as possible, because like I said, oil is not sustainable. Oil is basically polluting the whole world, or oil is probably polluting even in Bangladesh and Nigeria. Like it's such a bad industry. So I wish that we could focus on what we have, such as agriculture or local agriculture, wind, and what's it called? Rain? No, not rainfall, but the falls that we have here, the waterfalls. and the nature that we have here, because we have a lot that we could use, and a lot of industries that would like to support this green shift towards, you know, more sustainable industries and such. So I wish that we could focus all of our like on a national level. I wish that we could focus more on that. Other than that, I'm very lucky to live in a city that has a good green strategy plan, and I really hope that they will come through with a lot of their strategies throughout the years. And then I hope also that Bangladesh will follow up and also get the sustainable renewable energy soon. And yeah, thank you.
Really great. So it's amazing that we will showcase such trailblazing example of your city, and which will be totally green very, very soon in such a visible perspective. So it's no longer dream 2050 net zero emission. It can be achieved much closer and much faster. Thank you as well. Daniel, what is your recommendation?
Okay, Lisa has said so well, and Imran, and I would just like to add that there's this popular saying that if we want to leave the world better than we met it for the future generations, young people should start taking responsibility for the environment. So we need to understand that we own the environment, and whatever we make of it today would affect the next generation to come. And so in that light, I would like to share some recommendations, and this might be to the government, people in government, or policymakers. And so I would like to suggest that government should create subsidies for the use of renewable energy. And so this would encourage more citizens, more members of the society to embrace the use of renewable energy like solar, hydro, and others. This will go a long way in helping reduce the pollutions that we have these days. Secondly, I would like to also continue to push for awareness. I feel that the awareness will go a long way in helping people understand even better. I mean, awareness helped, and a lot of people didn't probably believe in COVID-19 until a lot of awareness started to come out. And so for climate change as well, yeah, people are getting to get aware. I mean, people are getting sensitized about the effect of climate change, but we need to do more awareness. More young people should come up to sensitize people in your local community. It can be just one person you're telling about climate change, and the person goes home to tell someone else. And so you're passing that message of climate change, you're passing that message of creating sustainable environment for the future generations to come. And so that's my advice for everyone. Thank you.
In fact, as I always like to say, planting even one seed can lead to the very big forest. So here, we as young people sharing our experience, our thoughts, can really contribute and reach this multiplying effect where other people join us as well. Thank you so much for planting this seed of hope, this seed of inspiration and motivation today. It's really deep honor to know you all. And the last but not the least, what will be your message to the SDGs activists worldwide watching us to transfer this kind of awareness, motivation, energy, so they also probably will start the path or will be inspired to continue the path regardless resistance, regardless barriers, a feeling that we are all together in one boat for better future and more sustainable world. Imran, please.
So the question is, what is my advice to young community, right?
A message, yes. Let's share in several
Yeah.
sentences your motivation, vision.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I think my message will be: this is our planet, and we are the people who can save this, and we have to take responsibility for our Mother Earth. And if we don't take that responsibility, nobody will do that. So we have to do this. And my request to the young community to please keep your garden, this chemical free, and please don't use the single-use plastic, and please do something for your community, like for green, like a tree plantation, and please save energy. This is very important. Please say to fossil fuel, and you have to save energy. Sometimes you don't use, if you don't need to AC or air conditioning, don't use that. Or if you, when you are going to print any paper or any document, if this is not that much of necessary, then don't use this paper for printing. So this is my request, and thank you.
Great. So on the individual level, we should notice such details and be guided on how to be more efficient in our daily consumption, as you've mentioned, in terms of paper and others. Thank you so much. Lisa, what would you say to people watching us and other SDGs change makers?
Yeah, to emphasize the giving something to the community or doing a change in the community. If one wants to change the world on a global level, in my experience, starting on a local level will already get you very far. And as a plus, like we talked about, it's contributing to the local community, which can then inspire so many other people in your vicinity to at least try and do something about our problems, such as big as climate change, environmental risks and problems, like we have emphasized throughout this conversation. So the point is, you don't need to be a part of something on a bigger scale for it to ultimately be meaningful. Just trying to share your knowledge and doing your best for your local community is already doing a lot for the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In fact, the smallest contribution matters, and you never know how far it can reach and how far would you go. Daniel, your message, intuition.
Yeah, thank you. My final words, and to reiterate what Lisa said, every one of us is important in achieving the SDG. And so we are all important in this journey, and we should all be responsible, because we are going to use it to make the world a better place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much also for mentioning this aspect of responsibility, personal responsibility, governmental responsibility, academic responsibility, and other types of such mindfulness, consciousness would be really great for all of us. Thank you so much for joining, for sharing your experience, for this wonderful conversation, and revealing and unleashing this use power of exchanging ideas, sharing experience, and discovering the world, as we all face similar problems and challenges, and we shall keep all together to resolve these challenges and be united despite the borders closed and very challenging times, pressing times. We will still find solution unless we when we unite and when we cooperate. Good luck with everything. Keep safe. Thank you so much.
Karina, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you,
Kenny,
everyone.
Really.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having us.
Good luck. Good luck with your work.